Hello everyone, thanks for coming outside with me today. It's the month of June here in Pennsylvania, so that means we are in food plot planning mode, trail camera survey mode, and doing a lot of fishing. Here in the summertime when trout fishing really slows down, I do a lot of fishing in lakes and ponds and rivers on my Perception Pescador kayak, which is a sit-on-top angling kayak. And the thing that I like to do is I let in a lot of areas where it's very populated by boaters. And so I like to be able to load my kayak completely with all my gear right in the parking lot at my vehicle and then wheel it down to the lake. And I do that through the use of a kayak cart. Now you can go out and you can buy a commercially made kayak cart, but I'm not into spending $100 or more on something that I could make with supplies from Home Depot and Lowe's and other home improvement stores like that. This whole setup here, including the pool noodle, cost me less than $30. I'm very pleased with the way it works. This is all dry fitted right now. None of it's glued together. I've already cut everything. So what I'd like to do today is go through all the pieces and glue it together and show you the final finished product. So I'll put a full comprehensive parts list in the description, but here it is all laid out. So over here we have 4 half-inch zinc-plated washers, 2 half-inch nuts, and those are going to go on this half-inch piece of all-thread. These are 2 7-inch hard plastic lawnmower wheels, and then the rest of it is just specifically cut to length pieces of Schedule 40 PVC pipe. I'm not going to give you the exact dimensions of everything, and the reason being, not because I'm lazy, but rather because everybody's kayak is different. You'll have to get the particular PVC diameter for your boat, and you'll have to cut the pieces to be the correct distance for your scupper plug location within your kayak. So here we have 2 pieces, which are the arms, which go into the scupper plugs and allow you to carry the boat. We have 2 end caps, which have half-inch holes drilled in them to allow that all thread to go through. And these are 2 small pieces of Schedule 40, and these will go into the caps to lengthen the horizontal width of the kayak cart, which gives it more stability side to side. Here we have 2 supports, which go in the middle of the H, 4 3-way T's. And then these are the 2 supports, one for the bottom and one for the middle, and then 3 sections of pool noodle. The pool noodle is optional if you want to use it or not. I use it in case I drop my kayak cart into the drink, that it doesn't sink to the bottom. And yes, I have learned that from experience. Start by gluing the definitely easiest parts to glue first, which in this case would be things like the caps to their little legs, these middle struts of the H. I don't want to get into gluing it all at once because then I might end up having it being twisted or not aligned perfectly, and you want it to be aligned perfectly because it needs to go right through the scupper holes or the scupper plugs perfectly. I'm just using standard PVC cement. You could prime this if you really wanted to. Making these in the past, I've never seen that to be a necessity, so I'm just going to open this up, turn my ventilator on because we're down here in my basement, and get to gluing. So what I'm doing here to check to make sure these are level is I'm just pushing them in here and just making sure they're flat. I know my bench is level, I know this board is level, so this is perfect. I'm not going to touch it now, I'm just going to let it sit over here and start curing a little bit. Actually, I'm going to glue this cap in, and then I'm not going to touch it to make sure that it has a little bit of time to set and make sure it stays the way I want it. Just like the piece before it, I'm going to make sure this is level by putting it on this level board. Make sure it's seated all the way, and then make sure it doesn't have any rock to it whatsoever. I want it to be as flat as possible. now we have the main base. And pretty much now it's almost done. Really now we're going to do is install the arms, install the hardware, and she's good to go. So very little work involved with it, putting it all together. I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to come together really, really well. Now we're going to get into installing the hardware, which starts out with this piece of all-thread, which I'll just thread through one end. So it comes out the other, kind of even it up. Out of the 4 washers, we're going to put 2 on now so they have contact with the caps. Then on go the tires. And you can install any tire you like. You can get inflatable ones, for instance. I don't have that far of a journey from the parking lot to the boat ramp most of the time, so I just do these plastic ones. So then we go on with the other washer. And then the nuts. Now, these aren't locking nuts. You can go and get locking nuts. What I like to do is actually like to take a piece of plumber's tape, or actually I even like electrical tape even more, and I put a small strip of it on the outside here, and I'll zoom in and show you that here in a second. Alright, so what I did was here, I just came onto the end of the piece of all-thread. I took a small piece of electrical tape and I cut it in half lengthwise. So I have half over here, and the other half is on the other end here. And then I will thread the nut onto that, and it just acts like plumber's tape on water pipes, like in your bathroom or something like that. And when this this nut starts to bite onto that, it is going to never, ever, ever come off. If you don't use something like this technique, or something like a lock nut, this nut will come off and your whole tire assembly will fall off and it renders your cart completely useless. So strongly recommend you do something equivalent to this or getting lock nuts. Otherwise you're going to have problems. The hardware is now officially installed, and when I install these, I don't put them on so tight that the wheel has trouble moving. I want it to spin freely, but I don't want any slop, which is any side-to-side wiggle room. This one has just maybe not even a 1/16 of an inch, which is okay. I don't think I want to go much tighter than that. The reason why I don't like any slop to begin with is that way if I do get slop, I know that my bolts are starting to back out. So I check it after every single time I use it. I've never had it come out before using my electrical tape method, and I'm sure that if you use locking nuts, you wouldn't have any problems either. But it's just something to check on, because you just don't want to be out in the middle of Nowhereville and have a tire come off on you and then not have the ability to put it back on. Arms are glued on. Now it's just time for the pool noodle. All I did was I went to my local Dollar General or something along those lines and just found a pool noodle. And this is a pretty fat one, which you kind of need. This gets a little bit heavy, especially with all the hardware in the bottom. The all-thread's pretty big. The wheels are pretty hefty as well. So I just took a large piece of pool noodle here and cut a slit in it. Now you could just feed these pieces through the center of the pool noodle, not have to cut a slit. I don't like to fiddle with them while I'm putting it all together, so I just cut a slit them and then I'll hot glue these seams together back on over. But all I do is I install one across the middle strut in the top, one down here on the side, and then the other side as well. The only things left to do now are to let the glue cure, glue up the seams on the pool noodle, and then take it fishing. And I hope you're able to enjoy the sport of fishing. I hope you're able to enjoy the sport of kayaking. Get out and see God's beautiful creation. And we'll get to see you next time.